Forget the terrifying porcelain dolls of horror movies. The real Annabelle wouldn't look out of place in a child's bedroom. Seriously. This seemingly innocent Raggedy Ann doll with her button eyes and floppy hat is the stuff of nightmares. You'd never guess she's a magnet for malevolent spirits. Trust me, looks can be deceiving. This isn't your grandma's cuddly toy. This is Annabelle, and her story is the real deal. Welcome to Screamville. Now, every good ghost story needs its Ghostbusters, right? That's where Ed and Lorraine Warren come in. This husband and wife team were like the Sherlock Holmes of the supernatural. They tackled demonic possessions, haunted houses, you name it. And their run-in with Annabelle, one for the books. The year was 1970. Two nursing students, Donna and Angie, get their hands on this seemingly harmless Raggedy Ann doll. They thought it would add a touch of hominess to their apartment. Big mistake. Things got weird fast. The doll started moving. First just small movements, changing positions. But it escalated. They'd find it in different rooms entirely. Creepy notes started appearing, written in childish handwriting. The message? Help us. Goosebumps, anyone? Donna and Angie had a friend, Lou. Lou was a practical guy, always grounded in reality. He was the type who needed to see things to believe them. He wasn't a believer in this paranormal stuff. He often dismissed Donna and Angie's stories about Annabelle, the doll they claimed was haunted, thought it was all a load of hogwash. He would laugh it off, rolling his eyes whenever they mentioned the doll's eerie activities. Until Annabelle turned her attention to him. It started subtly, with Lou feeling uneasy whenever he was near the doll. He started having vivid nightmares, waking up in a cold sweat. These dreams were unlike anything he had ever experienced before, filled with dark, oppressive energy. One night, he woke up paralyzed, feeling a presence in the room. He couldn't move, couldn't scream, just lay there, heart pounding. He swore he saw Annabelle at the foot of his bed, slowly levitating. The doll's eyes seemed to bore into his soul, filling him with an overwhelming sense of dread. He threw the doll across the room and immediately scratch marks appeared on his body. That's when he knew. This was no joke. The fear was real and it was consuming him. He could no longer deny the truth of Donna and Angie's claims. Annabelle was not just a doll, she was something far more sinister. Determined to understand what was happening, Lou began researching paranormal activities. He read countless books and articles trying to find an explanation for his experiences. He even sought help from a priest, hoping that a blessing or exorcism might rid him of this malevolent presence. But nothing seemed to work. In a moment of desperation, Lou decided to confront Annabelle directly. He stood in front of the doll, demanding that it leave him alone. But the room grew colder, and the doll's eyes seemed to glow with a malevolent light. Realizing that he was in over his head, Lou packed his bags and left the apartment. He couldn't stay there any longer, not with Annabelle's presence looming over him. As he looked back at the apartment one last time, he felt a mix of relief and fear. He was free from Annabelle, but the experience had changed him forever. He now knew that the paranormal was real, and it was something to be feared. Annabelle remained in the house, her presence a constant reminder of the terror she had inflicted. The doll sat there waiting for her next victim, her eyes ever watchful, ever menacing. The Warrens' verdict was that this was not your average rag doll. This doll, with its faded fabric and button eyes, might look like a harmless toy from a bygone era, but it harbors a sinister secret. The story of Annabelle is one that has sent shivers down the spines of many, and it all began with two unsuspecting women. Donna and Angie, terrified, reached out to a medium, which was a bad idea. They had been experiencing strange occurrences ever since Donna received the doll as a gift from her mom. At first, it was small things. The doll would change positions, or they would find it in a different room. But soon, the incidents escalated. They found cryptic messages written on parchment paper. Creepy thing is, they never bought parchment paper. They even discovered the doll with what appeared to be blood on its hands. The seance only made things worse. The medium they consulted tried to communicate with the spirit supposedly inhabiting the doll. The room was filled with an eerie silence, broken only by the medium's chants. Suddenly the candles flickered, and a cold breeze swept through the room. The medium's face contorted in fear as she revealed the spirit's identity. The medium claimed the doll was possessed by the spirit of a young girl named Annabelle Higgins. She told Donna and Angie that Annabelle had died tragically, and her spirit felt comforted by the doll. But this explanation did little to ease their fears. In fact, it only deepened their dread. She said she just wanted to be friends, so the girls welcomed her and treated her to be one of them. Turns out, Annabelle wasn't so innocent after all. The medium's revelation was just the beginning. The doll's activities grew more malevolent. Donna and Angie began to experience violent nightmares, and one night, Angie woke up to find the doll crawling up her bed. They knew they were dealing with something far more sinister than a lost child's spirit. One night, they came home to the doll standing in the hallway as if it was waiting for them. She craved a human host. Enter the Warrens. Renowned paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren were called in to help. They had dealt with numerous cases of haunted objects, but Annabelle was different. The Warrens immediately sensed the dark energy surrounding the doll. They saw right through the innocent facade. Lorraine, a gifted clairvoyant, felt an overwhelming sense of malevolence emanating from the doll. She knew that this was no ordinary haunting. The spirit within the doll was not a young girl, but something far more dangerous. This wasn't a little girl. The Warrens concluded that the entity was a demonic presence, using the doll as a conduit to wreak havoc. It had been manipulating Donna and Angie, feeding off their fear and growing stronger with each passing day. This was something dark and demonic, using the doll as a vessel. The Warrens knew that if they didn't act quickly, the entity could cause serious harm. The story of Annabelle, the infamous haunted doll, is one that sends chills down the spine of even the bravest souls. Despite being confined, her malevolent presence continues to wreak havoc. The Warrens, being the pros they were, performed an exorcism on the apartment. They hoped to cleanse the space of the dark energy that Annabelle had brought with her. The ritual was intense, filled with chants and prayers as they tried to banish the evil spirit. But removing the entity from the doll, that was a whole other story. Annabelle's grip on the physical world was strong, and the malevolent spirit within her refused to let go. The doll's eyes seemed to follow you, a constant reminder of the evil lurking within. That was a whole other story. The Warrens knew that simply performing an exorcism on the apartment wasn't enough. They needed to contain the evil within Annabelle to prevent further chaos. They deemed Annabelle too dangerous to be left out in the world. The doll had already caused enough trouble, and the risk of her falling into the wrong hands was too great. The Warrens decided that the best course of action was to keep her under their watchful eyes. So they did what any sane person would do, took her home and locked her up. When Ed and Lorraine Warren took the Annabelle doll from the two nurses' apartment to their home, they decided to drive on back roads instead of the highway, fearing that the doll might have the power to cause an accident. Even with the extra caution, they reportedly ran into multiple problems. As they drove, Lorraine claimed that the car's brakes repeatedly failed, and the vehicle came dangerously close to crashing several times. According to the Warrens, this was due to Annabelle's influence. The car would swerve or stop working properly, and Ed had to fight to keep it under control. Lorraine described feeling an intense malevolent presence in the car. After a series of near-miss accidents, Ed finally took a small bottle of holy water from his bag and doused Annabelle with it. From that moment, they claimed the car began to run smoothly, and they managed to make it home without further incidents. Once home, they placed the doll in Ed's study, but disturbances continued until the Warrens finally had a special glass case built for Annabelle, with prayers inscribed on it to contain her power. Since, they placed Annabelle in a specially designed glass case, inscribed with protective symbols and warnings. The case was meant to contain her dark energy and prevent her from causing any more harm. But Annabelle wasn't done yet. Despite being confined, her malevolent influence continued to seep through the glass. Strange occurrences and unexplained phenomena plagued the Warrens' occult museum where Annabelle was kept. She continued to cause a ruckus in their occult museum, unsettling visitors and staff alike. People reported feeling an overwhelming sense of dread when near her, and some even claimed to have seen her move, even allegedly causing a man's death. One particularly chilling incident involved a young man who taunted Annabelle during a visit. He later died in a motorcycle accident, leading many to believe that the doll had cursed him. This doll clearly had a flair for the dramatic. Annabelle's story serves as a stark reminder of the dangers that can lurk within seemingly innocent objects. Her continuing shenanigans are a testament to the enduring power of the supernatural. There's a well-known story about a detective who visited the Warrens' occult museum and, despite the warnings, touched the Annabelle doll. According to accounts from Ed and Lorraine Warren, this detective dismissed the museum's rules and warnings as mere superstition. After making contact with the doll, he reportedly left the museum, laughing off the warnings about Annabelle's supposed demonic powers. However, the story goes that shortly after leaving the museum, the detective faced a serious and unexpected accident. Although the exact details are sparse, the Warrens claim that the accident left him injured, and he later came forward expressing regret for not heeding the warnings. Some versions of the story say he returned to the museum afterward, shaken and remorseful, acknowledging that he shouldn't have dismissed the warnings or the doll's alleged supernatural influence. The Warrens used this incident, like others involving people who disregarded Annabelle's power, as a cautionary tale to underscore their belief in the dangers attached to the doll. These stories continue to fuel Annabelle's legend as an object that should not be taken lightly. Now, you've probably heard of the Annabelle movies. Spooky, right? But let's be real, Hollywood loves to embellish. The real Annabelle isn't some creepy porcelain doll with a murderous streak. She's scarier. Why? Because her terror is rooted in reality. The unassuming appearance, the subtle yet terrifying events, that's what gets under your skin. It's the idea that something so ordinary could be a vessel for something so sinister. The Warrens, they're gone now, but their legacy and Annabelle's story lives on. This little Raggedy Ann doll has become a pop culture icon, a symbol of our fascination with the unknown. She reminds us that things aren't always what they seem, and sometimes the most unassuming objects can hold the darkest secrets. Remember that time in 2020 when the internet went crazy? Rumors were swirling that Annabelle had escaped the museum. People were freaking out. I mean, can you imagine? It was mass hysteria. Turns out it was all a hoax. Annabelle was safe and sound, or as safe and sound as a demonic doll can be, in her glass case. But hey, it makes for a good story, right? If you're ever brave enough, or foolish enough, to visit Annabelle in person, here's a word of advice. Follow the rules. No touching, no disrespecting. This isn't some sideshow attraction. This is the real deal. And trust me, you don't want to be on the receiving end of a demonic doll's wrath. Whether you're a believer or a skeptic, there's no denying the power of a good ghost story. And Annabelle's story, it's one for the ages. It taps into our primal fears, our fascination with the unexplained. So, the next time you see a Raggedy Ann doll, take a second look. You never know what might be lurking beneath the surface. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to subscribe, and as always, thanks for watching.